Good afternoon. It is the afternoon in the South, and we are here with John Mark Parker, the latest addition to Triad Psych, who's come on board as one of our clinicians. He's going to talk about his specialties today. So if you're looking for a therapist or clinical services, this will give you an idea to get a flavor for him and how he works, and you can make a more informed decision. Hello, John Mark.
Hello, Dave. How are you?
I'm great. I'm here talking to you. And that's always a good thing. You always bring a lot of energy. We see a lot of zen in that office behind you. You've done a great job with that office, at the least. And so we'll start with, why'd you become a clinician?
I became a clinician because I love people, first of all. And I went back to school as I was getting older, and I want to work for the rest of my life. So I thought I needed to do something I could do sitting down, and listening to people and hearing stories is something I love doing. And I wanted to increase my skills, so I became a clinician and have enjoyed it every step of the way.
It really is a very satisfying way to earn a living. I've never gone home at night and looked in the mirror and said, gee, why am I doing this?
Exactly.
You know, when I worked in corporate life, there were many times I looked in the mirror and said, why am I here? But no, you never really feel that way, which is great.
That's true. Yes, I have clients that range in age from like 4 or 5 up into their 60s. And I love that. Everyone is different. And I tease that after every client, sometimes I have to do a set change, depending on if we're going to be building things with Legos and Play-Doh, or if we're just sitting and talking, or reading Dr. Seuss, who knows? But it's a new adventure every time someone comes. And I love it because each story is unique. Everything they bring, whether they're an older person or a little person, they have worries and they have concerns, and I love hearing about them.
When I decided to switch gears and become a clinician, my mother said to me, you definitely won't be bored. You'll be anything but bored. And it really is true. And, you know, people think we sit here and it's a very laid back way to make a living. It's not. It's much more intense than people get. Mm-hmm. And then when people come in, we're not just hearing stories, we're solving problems. And many times the problems are insolvable. That's why they're in front of us. Mm-hmm. But the burden for us is to make the insolvable solvable. We have to figure out a way to adapt, overcome, go around and figure out how to get it done as well. So you mentioned that you work with kids. Right. We've been sending a lot of kids your way. Even though I hired you, and I've known you for a while, I really don't know much about your training with kids. That you told me, well, I work with kids, and I put you in front of every patient we put you in front of seems very happy. Well, you seem really, so again, how you're doing it, I'm not sure, but let's talk about how you work with kids. What's your approach with kids?
Sure. For 30 years, I was a youth and children's minister in different churches of different denominations. And I went to seminary and got a master's of divinity and Christian education. I graduated in 1990. So a lot of my childhood theoretical orientation comes from that study. But then when I went back to school in 2016 to get the Master of Science in Clinical Rehabilitation Counseling, in classes like family therapy and art therapy and play therapy, kids came up. I wasn't planning on seeing so many kids, but I enjoyed them and I like them. And parents, I have a special appreciation for. I admire them so much, and I hold them close to my heart because they have a tough job. I think probably tougher than any time in the history of the world right now. So anything I can do to help, I want to do. So a lot of my experience with kids comes from a church background, which is just listening and being there for them whenever, in whatever ways I can. This summer, I was a staff therapist for a children's literacy program. We reached kids, rising 2nd and 3rd graders from underserved communities in the Macon, Georgia area. And when the director, who's known me for years, was introducing me to the staff, she said, I think JM is here because he's a kid himself, so he'll fit right in. And that's
I can see that. I can definitely see that. But I think, I mean, can we all remember what it was like being a kid? That it was so hard at times. I mean, there were good times, but I remember things that now don't bother me as a kid really bothered me.
Right, sure. I mean, monsters under the bed. Our monsters are just, as grown-ups, are maybe they're not under the bed, they're somewhere else, but they're still there. And little folks, I've also learned, are trying so hard to be good, to do the right thing, to make their parents proud. And they are under a lot of pressure. And so we do a lot of playing because for kids, play is their work. They don't have the words to articulate what's going on inside them or what they're feeling. So we get it through drawing or playing or building things. And I get to observe quite a lot and learn things here and there.
Excellent. Excellent. I mean, I always found with kids that engagement is everything. That me being trained as a behaviorist, I could break down behaviors, look what a kid was doing, come up with a behavior plan to modify the behavior or change it, but something was still missing. That if the relationship, the engagement is in there, there's not a degree of playfulness with the child or that bonding, it's just not as effective as if there is. So I mean, a lot of behaviorists don't believe in that, but I'm a behaviorist with several backgrounds, so I don't do great behaviorism.
And the key to successful therapy is the most important component is the therapeutic relationship, the bond that the clinician has with the client. And that's why it's so important, especially with kids, for them to want to be there and to trust you and to enjoy you. And I try to pay attention to what each kid needs. Like some just want to draw and be left alone, and they'll show me when they finish. Others will say, I thought you were going to draw with me. I want you to draw with me. So I sit on the floor with them and do it. So it depends on what they need, but I want to engage with them however I can.
Okay, and I mean, I've known you for a while before you came to work for me. I mean, you seem to form relationships with a lot of people. You're very, very outgoing and very positive with people too. Just so people out there watching can understand that. I mean, John Mark's anything but a dour clinician, to say the least.
I know how we're supposed to do it, and I do my best. And but part of me comes through anyway. It's just the way it is, and I think that's important because not every clinician is going to fit with every client. And so I tell people that the first time they see me, let's not make a decision about the next visit until the end of this one. And even if someone's 5 years old, I tell them the same thing. Your mom or your dad or both of them brought you here today. And at the end of our time together, you'll decide if you want to do this again. And so I leave it up to the kids. And fortunately, knock on wood, so far they've all wanted to come back. In fact, I had an 11-year-old on Saturday say, I need to tell you that I really didn't want to come here today, but I've changed my mind. So so he's coming back. So that made me happy.
Well, I mean, what you're doing is you're giving the child a degree of autonomy, which kids need. I mean, I raised my own daughters that way, gave them a lot of autonomy, even though there was a lot of eyebrow raising in our subdivision. People think I was making a mistake, but now that one's 24 and one's 22, I clearly made the right choice. I was counseling an adult patient today, and we were trying to figure out why she was stuck. And I was doing psychoanalytic work with her, and it was clear to me it was because she was just given no choices. Growing up, she was told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and whether or not she'd like it.
Exactly, and whether or not she'd like it.
Right. So I said, it doesn't sound like you were given many choices being raised. And she goes, no, think about it, I really wasn't.
That makes a huge difference.
Yeah, giving people autonomy is huge, especially kids. Especially kids.
They're so programmed and so structured and so scheduled that they don't get that very much. So to have even an hour to just sit and play and have a grown-up play with them with whatever they choose, whatever we're going to build something or draw something or mold something, they get to be in charge and decide. And it's a wonderful thing to watch and experience. Teenagers are the same way, and so are adults. I mean, we all need someone to pay attention to us. I want all my clients to know that I see them, I hear them, and I love them. That's my goal at every session, to know that they've been seen and heard and loved.
Wow, I want to come see you now.
Oh, good. I hope you will. Plus, it's my singing bowls. Everybody wants to.
I don't feel I'm seen or let's see what we got here. Oh, these are our sound bowls?
Yes, they're crystal singing bowls. I have a bunch of them, but I leave 4 out. And sometimes we'll have we'll make sound baths with clients who enjoy that. Not everyone likes it, but some do, and it's a lovely thing. What?
I don't know how anyone couldn't like a sound bath.
Well, different people, and some folks on the spectrum, the sounds are really loud for them, and so they don't particularly like it. By the way, I've just noticed my chair is squeaking. I don't know if you can hear it.
I cannot.
Okay,
And I'll
good.
make it a point to get you some WD-40.
Thank you. I need to spray a little bit there. That'd be
Well,
good.
considering you're the office handyman, it'll be up to
That's
you.
true. I should
I'm
know
not
where the
doing it.
WD-40 is. I should be able to find it.
Well, it's a very useful thing. Don't leave home without it. That, a Swiss Army knife, and bungee cords.
And
You'll
duct
get in
tape.
trouble with that. That's right, and duct tape. Duct tape. So let's stick to the psychotherapy here. So again, so we're looking at with kids, you're taking a very humanistic approach, but also a very control-based approach.
Right.
Not so much that you have control, but you're giving them control.
Right. Well, I say we don't have to tell an acorn how to become an oak tree. You just create the right environment and it can do it. It's Catherine Kersey wrote a book years ago called The Art of Sensitive Parenting. And she says that children, we often think of children as seeds, in little packets. So we plant the seeds and then we put the packet at the end of the row so that there's a picture of knowing what they're supposed to grow up and look like. And she said, think of children as flower seeds, but without a picture on the cover. So we don't know what they're going to be and who they're going to be. They're going to show us as they grow. Our job is to provide the right environment where they can do that. And kids are smart. They're super smart. They know what's triggering them, or they know what the problems are. And so we can talk about steps to take so when the next time that happens, they know what's going on and they can practice it. And I tell them, we practice it. We don't have to perfect it. They'll have years to do that, but just keep practicing ways to have a better life and a better day.
Now, you said before that this is the hardest time it's ever been to raise kids. Want to expand on that for me a little?
Well, social media, of course, is a big deal, even for young kids. They're aware of it. Parents try to keep monitoring it, but it's a real issue. And kids spend so much time there. Never before in the history of the world have kids literally had the world in the palm of their hands from the time they're born. So they don't know a time when they've not been connected to all kinds of things. And it's hard to keep them separate from horrible stories that you don't want children to necessarily be exposed to, because it changes the way they view the world when they see so much of these things. It's there's a lot of pressure to go to bowling, go to ballet, go to skating, go to baseball practice, go to soccer. We schedule them so much. When do they get to just play and just be themselves and be a kid? And that's what we try to do, because that's where their creativity comes, and that's where the joy comes. And it's too easy, I think, to give people a tablet and let them just sit over and watch a movie that they've seen a million times already, rather than to play with them. And I know parents are busy. I totally get that, especially if a parent has more than one child. There are a lot of things that are being pulled in all kinds of ways, but to find a place where a child isn't feeling pulled and can just be there, I think is important.
I mean, the TV was always the one-eyed babysitter, but now we have mobile devices that are the one-eyed babysitter you can take anywhere.
Yes, they're with them everywhere they go.
Right, and every family I've seen that's done a technology detox, no one's regretted it
Right.
at all.
Right.
And I'm saying that as much for adults, that when I have adults who force themselves off of social media, there's a bit of a detox period, but then they feel very powerful after they've done it.
Exactly. They sleep better. After a few days, they sleep better, and life is good again.
Absolutely. And we weren't, as humans, designed to be bombarded with this much information at once. Mm-hmm. We can only handle so much information at once. Now, I also, on that point, for me growing up in the 70s and 80s, I remember the joy of getting a book. Like you said, the kid has the world in their hand. Mm-hmm. I mean, with this thing, you got the world in your hand.
Right.
I don't know if it's always a good thing or not.
I don't know so either. Which is why we have Dr. Seuss around.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. One of my clients who's 5 suggested that we have these, because we were talking about our favorite books, and we discovered that we had Dr. Seuss in common. And I said, you know what? We should have these books in the office. And he said, yes, we should. So we went on Amazon, and he helped me pick out these 5 starter books. And so we read one the other day. He was delighted that they're here. They tell me what I need to have in here, and I try to honor their requests. Usually it's for chocolate, but we also have little tangerines.
See, it used to be that when I've been in the field for 32 years, that, what can we reinforce a child with, right? We'd have these big checklists, raisins, trading cards, baseball, and it's all gone. You could rip that list up. They want one thing: screen time.
Yes.
Screen time, screen time, screen time.
Yes.
And
It's true.
so what we'll do at Triad a lot, because we collaborate, is we'll tell a child that if his behaviors can be under control between the sessions, they can have a one-on-one outing with the clinician. So we have
That's a great idea.
we have a Baskin Robbins we can walk to from the office, and we'll go to Baskin Robbins. We'll actually get an ice cream. We'll actually talk to each other.
I like that.
And see what's going on. So there are other ways to do this that really matter as well, and the engagement with the kids is so very important. And like I said, the world in their hands. I remember the thrill of getting a book. I used to get these geography books as a kid, and I maybe get 3 a year. I even remember the name of my favorite one. It's called Our World by National Geographic. But having the world in your hand it doesn't teach good problem solving skills. Does it teach leadership skills?
And that's why it's important for kids to be around other kids too, to do things. I think camps are really good things because usually they're phone free, they're device free, and kids actually interact with each other and enjoy that. And then they sort of self-monitor because the whole group is sort of, doing the same thing.
It's also good because the kids are in a position where they have to problem solve. They have to solve, and really good youth leaders, and you've been a youth leader,
right? Is
that they do not hand an answer to the kids in their particular activities. They may talk to them about it. Well, what do you want to do? That I'm a big fan of church and synagogue youth groups.
Right.
And I remember the really good leaders, regardless, I've seen it at Greek Orthodox churches, synagogues, Christian churches, where when the kids hit a jam, they're in some kind of leadership position. The leaders don't come up with maybe this, maybe that, but in the end, you have to do something. You have to decide. Right. And it's just a really wonderful thing.
And our job is to support them in that. Let them make a decision, and we support them, even if it doesn't work out the way they intended. That's part of the process to realize that we can decide differently next time.
We're living in a world right now where a lot of young adults can't make decisions. If you've been on, I have a bad habit, me and my best friend, of going on Reddit and other platforms and looking at the questions people are putting out there that they're struggling with. And to me, it's like, you should be able to just solve that. You shouldn't have to go to an outside source. Right. And you get all these opinions. I know it happens, and there's a role for that as well. But I think it's important that we teach decision-making skills and autonomy to our kids as well. So that's really important. So what does an ideal client look like for you?
An ideal client is someone who participates in the moment, who wants life to be better. And I don't care what age they are. I care that they want their lives to be better, and that they decide that we're a good fit, and then we work together and we come up with a plan based on their interests, their experiences, their age. Everything is tailor-made for them about what we need to do to move forward. And it always has to do with narrative theory, which is about the way we tell our own stories and the way we fit into our stories. Person-centered therapy, which is all about them, because again, I believe that the client knows what they need, even if they don't realize they know that. So it's about removing the blocks that are maybe sort of shading their vision or keeping them from seeing some things. One of my professors used to say that counselors are like flashlights. Our job is to light the way for things that might be a problem coming up. So that's what I try to do.
Unfortunately, I wasn't trained in that, or I wasn't listening in graduate school. And I want you to explain more about that, because my form of therapy is, tell me I certainly listen to what are your issues, what are your goals? And then I guess I take a strong coaching approach. Let's go.
Yes.
I do a lot of I'm a behaviorist with children, a psychoanalyst with adults, but the whole concept of the very self-directed, humanistic, you mentioned another word, which it really appeals to people. I'm the kind of clinician where you're either going to love me or you're going to hate me. So you say my name in Metro Atlanta, you're either going to get a hug or you're going to have something thrown at you. It's nothing in between. So I want you to talk about the person-centered work you just mentioned.
Well, I think each individual is the only person that will be with that person from the first breath to the last breath. So since the client is the only person who will be with them their entire lives, I think they need to be the expert in their lives, and they need to love themselves, and they need to figure it out as much as they can on their own. So if we can teach people how to do that when they're younger, maybe they aren't struggling as much when they're older. By the way, your issue of being of people loving you or hating you, and people hugging you or slapping you, depending on when your name is said, I think that goes to show that every therapist is different. Every therapist has their own personality and their own ways of doing things. So that's why it's important to find the right fit. And you may not have the same therapist for all of your life, and that's okay, because you need to learn from different people and experience different people. Anyway, back to the person.
But I think you're right. If we can make people experts on themselves, we've really done a good job. And, we can do it with kids. We can do it at all ages. But talk about a huge gift is building self-awareness for someone. And, I work with a lot of college students, especially in my office in Midtown Atlanta, which is near SCAD and Georgia Tech.
Right.
And I say, look, I'm going to give you the therapy, but I'm going to give you mentorship too. And if someone gave me at your age what I'm giving you now, I'd be a lot further along in life. And it's worked beautifully. And I feel so good about it. I feel badly for me that I didn't have it at a younger age. And I said, you're going to be much, much happier and wealthier than me. That's okay. That's what we're here for.
That's right. And it makes a huge difference. I think mentorship is, a good way of saying it. I'm coaching, which you do, I think is a really good way of saying it. And the people at that age, like college age and even in high school, their job as developmentally is to begin to pull away from their parents and listen to other trusted adults and make decisions on their own. And so they're testing boundaries, and they're trying to figure out what boundaries are for them. And so to have someone they can trust to help them navigate that is really important, I think.
So much so. And yeah, I don't think there's any greater satisfaction than when we give that to a client. I mean, for me, I have one patient. I started working with her when she was 12.
Wow.
And worked with her all the way through till she was 18. And she came back to me when she was 30 recently. And the day, I didn't know it was her. There, she, how our office set up in the hallway. Right. And someone said, "Do you remember so-and-so?" I said, "Yes." And I laid eyes on her and I melted. I melted. We were so happy to see each other, and now I'm seeing her at 30 years old, navigating her life, and beautifully. Just it just makes such a difference for people. It's scary to make them self-aware, right? Let them be autonomous, and most of all, as my mentor talked about, is if we can make people what's known as self-directed. We've done a lot, because we're living in a very perception-driven world, and I think it's very, very destructive. That it used to be that part of child rearing, part of life was, we want you to have your own compass. You want to be able to make your own decisions. Right. But the influence of social media, popularity, not wanting to offend, I think is really hurting self-awareness and people being very self-directed. I
think you're right. I think as well, something you said earlier about seeing a girl from 12 to 18, and then again, as a young adult, shows the importance of that relationship again, the therapeutic relationship, the bond, that she felt connected and wanted to come back and work with you again. I think therapy too, people think it's, I've got to go fix something and then I'll be done. Mental health is like on a continuum, really poor mental health, and there's best day of my life kind of help. And we move back and forth on that continuum, and to help people develop skills that move them in the direction of living their best lives is our goal. And you don't just do it in a few sessions and be done with it. It's something to practice every day. Absolutely. And if we can, and for me, a lot of my therapy is skills acquisition. I think all therapy is really skills acquisition. I think so too. No matter what, and there's wisdom in all therapies. I had to learn as a behaviorist. I had to have this, I had to go through behaviorist recovery in 2005 when I did some analytic work on myself. But if we teach people, look, when you're having bad mental health, this is what you do. We give them something to do. We don't just, we'll just sit with it. It'll pass. The complaints I have from people who have gone to other clinics besides Triad, and I can't fully show it, I could kind of show it here, is that the therapist would simply pat them on the shoulder. Oh, it'll be okay. Oh, yeah, very good, very good. I'll see you next week. And we just don't do that. No.
Triad is we're very results oriented, and I know some people don't like that about us, but a lot of people do, and I don't think we'll change that from our mission either. That we want to get it done.
I think that's important because people come with a presenting issue. Some of the kids who come don't know why they're here, and I say to them, "Do you know why you're here?" They don't, and sometimes I'll tell them, "Well, it's because I didn't have anybody to sit and talk to, and so your parents brought you to talk to me." So that we start sometimes that way until we get into our worries and troubles. But I think fixing something is important, but it's important that I don't try to fix it because I can't. But the client tries to fix it, or the client succeeds at making it better, and that's the goal. And that may take. Well, hopefully the skills will last a lifetime, but they may need to come back and check in with this from time to time as well. I mean, we see the dentist more than once a year. So
absolutely, yeah, we see the dentist more than once a year. I actually forgot to do that, and I paid the price for it.
Same here. Yes.
Yeah, I had to pay a bundle for a water flosser. Great invention, but if you're out there in YouTube land, please brush and floss every night.
That's right.
Don't be like me. It's expensive and it's painful and everything else under the sun. Now, like everyone at Triad, you do a lot of work in the neurodivergence space. Let's talk about your neurodivergence work.
Well, I was diagnosed late in life, and so a lot of mine comes from personal experience of realizing what I didn't have before I had a diagnosis, even though people had tried to tell me for years, "Are you sure you're not ADHD?" And I don't know what, I just brushed it off. And then once I accepted the fact that I am, things made a whole lot more sense. So I'm able to use not only the education that I received at school at Mercer, but personal experience of what was missing and how I'm different from other people. And I think that also helps my neurodivergent clients to know that their therapist is with them, is part of the club, and can understand some of the frustrations, some of the challenges they face. So
yeah,
again,
the part of the club. Yeah, the part of the club, I never put it in those terms, but it takes one to know one, and it's a wonderful feeling, I think.
It is, and it's the things that we think make us different in a negative way. I try to show clients our superpowers. The things that make us different for a reason. The world doesn't change by people who don't make a difference. So different people who are different are the ones who make a difference. I don't know if I said that very well, but
no, I think you did, because for me, as someone who's neurodivergent, also, I mean, you and I are relatively close in age. We're about 7 years apart, I believe. And, I wouldn't have made it through if there weren't some adults along the way who actually took an interest in it.
Right.
And they put up with me. I mean, putting up with me, that was a mission in itself.
Absolutely.
I've stayed in touch with the teachers who really, took an interest in me and helped me. They're in their 70s and 80s now, but I purposely maintain contact with them. Always tell them how grateful I am for what they did. And then I went and turned it into my own profession as well. So I don't regret that for a second either. So yeah, understanding that we view things differently, but when we do learn a task, like you said, the superpower is we learn differently, but once we get it better than anybody. It's a geometric jump that when I couldn't learn a foreign language, then finally I had a proper tutor, wonderful woman,
right,
named Grace Gaetani, who's passed away, but she was a wonderful woman. She showed me a different way to approach learning Spanish, and then my Spanish scores went from C's to A's.
Wow.
And it was really a wonderful thing. And when I'm in a Spanish-speaking environment, my Spanish comes back.
That's
wonderful.
wonderful.
I'm very grateful for that. It is really wonderful when you can do that. And I think also when we're dealing with learning or academic therapy, giving them multimodal ways, that all these screens, our kids don't learn well that way.
Right.
Our kids learn well, we go back to the future, flashcards, real, not digital ones, actual flashcards, actual paper, writing things down makes a huge difference too for them. Oh,
and the way we're set up physically, some little boys, especially boys, girls too, but especially boys, have physically a difficult time sitting still. They can't. Their bodies need to run and stretch and play. And we have recess, just for a certain amount of minutes, and they need to do that regularly, like run and jump and get some of that energy out. And then we treat them poorly if they don't sit still, and then they can internalize that I'm not a good person because I can't be still, and that has not a whole lot to do with their brain sometimes. Some teachers may be angry but for saying that, but it's true.
Yeah, Jordan Peterson, who I know is a controversial figure, but I do think he's intellectually pure. And what he's saying is he's talking about how because of changes in the education system, it's put boys at a tremendous disadvantage, in part because they do need to move more, but the public education system has moved more towards being very agreeable, very rule-based. The teachers are under a lot of pressure to move very fast with the curriculum. The public school teachers don't have the time to stay with the students and wait for them to master things. They've got to keep moving to the next subject.
Right.
But that's made it harder for boys to really achieve and learn.
Right. And not only do people learn at different speeds, they learn different subjects at different speeds. Like, you know, we have this whole group of classes that we have to take, and we're expected to make A's in all of them, but I might not be coming along so well in reading, for example, but I'm a whiz at math. And I don't know, I don't have an answer for that problem, but I can help kids feel better about where they are, because we can learn to see where we are, accept where we are, and move from there. And it's not a competition with other people. It's being a better version of ourselves today and tomorrow and so forth, rather than what everybody else is doing.
Well, I mean, how much time do public school teachers now have to develop to character development?
And
probably not much.
Yes, and with so many kids in one room, it's. And one of my clients, you know, I get a report every week from how he's doing in school, and I think, who is it that writes this report of all the things he's done during the day? Because if they're doing that for several students, that must be a full-time job in itself, keeping up with all his challenging behaviors.
I was a public school teacher 26 years ago, and my creds were excellent. I left the field after I was a public school teacher for a whopping 2 years, and I was given no autonomy whatsoever. I wasn't allowed to pursue anything creative with my students. My creds didn't matter. Very rule-based, very bureaucratic, whether or not it was in the best interest of the students. So I left.
Yeah, good for you.
I mean, the average teacher, I haven't checked the stats recently, leaves the field after 5 years in special education, which is my field. It's 2 years. I don't know what it is now since COVID happened. Probably worse. But I said, look, I want to be a special educator, but I want to do it privately. I don't want to be so boxed in. I want to be able to be creative and get things done. That's why I opened Triad.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because at Triad, we are a very special education focused practice. You know, before neurodivergence was cool, we were doing it.
Right.
And as well. Well, this was excellent. Any final thoughts on how you do therapy? And
no, I just I have a good time with clients. We do it. We just hang out and we share stories and we talk and we work through our things, and we look forward to the next time.
Excellent.
So come and see me.
We sure will. Thank you so much.
Thank you.